Hello world, how are you doing? Recently I received a couple of parcels from the Royal Mint and I thought we would have a quick look at what's in them. I do know what's in them, but I haven't opened them yet. All I've done is remove the address labels. So let's break into the first one and have a look. The first one is a silver-proof coin, specifically the George Orwell £2 coin, which is themed on his novel 1984. I ordered this a while ago, but it took some time to be delivered. It's not very often that I buy these silver proofs, but I thought this one looked really exceptional, and Orwell is one of my favourite writers, so I wanted to get hold of it. Let's have a quick look at the box. This is the back of the outer sleeve, and the sides have the names of some of Orwell's works: Politics and the English Language, Burmese Days, 1984, Animal Farm, Homage to Catalonia, his book about his service in the Spanish Civil War, and Down and Out in Paris and London. I noticed there is no mention of his pre-war novels, but then he disliked A Clergyman's Daughter so much he didn't want it to be reprinted in his lifetime. Let's get into the outer cardboard box, and we have this quite nice inner box. Then we get to this acrylic block which has this design that looks like a kind of stylized lens shutter. The design is printed on the back of the block, so it would probably wear off if it was handled a bit too much. I have seen that happen with a couple of other blocks like this that I have. The front of the block is held on by reasonably strong magnets, so it is unlikely to come off by accident. Then we have the coin itself in a capsule surrounded by black foam. On the obverse is the portrait of King Charles by Martin Jennings, which looks great in proof quality, but it is the reverse that is the main event here. It was designed by Henry Gray, and the main design is in the form of an eye, but it is actually a camera lens. It has an almost holographic effect that is not easy to capture with my hopeless lighting and just using the camera in my phone. It has the text "Big Brother is watching you" around the iris of the lens, and Orwell's name around the edge. One slightly strange effect is that the overall design and the kind of triangle accents pointing inwards have the effect of blurring the boundary a bit between the outer rim and the inner part of the coin. I'm not planning to take the coin out of the capsule, but it does have an edge inscription as well, which reads "There was truth and there was untruth," which is the first part of a sentence from 1984. The full sentence is "There was truth and there was untruth, and if you clung to the truth even against the whole world, you were not mad." This is a classic of numismatic design. It makes such brilliant use of the available space on the coin. I don't usually display coins, but I might put this one on the shelf in its block for a while to admire it. I kind of wish the Royal Mint made postcards or similar enlargements of their coin designs. I would definitely buy something like that for this coin. Overall, double plus good. Let's put it back into its acrylic block. Let's have a quick look at the paperwork that comes with it. There's a little booklet with some biographical information about Orwell. Born in India in 1903, before his parents returned to England in 1904. There's a little bit about his experiences that he chronicled in Down and Out in Paris and London, Road to Wigan Pier and Homage to Catalonia, and Animal Farm in 1984. It mentions at the bottom that he wrote it while he was already suffering from severe tuberculosis, and he died not long afterwards. At the back, there's a nice little mention of Henry Gray, the designer. The picture on the front is based on his press pass. Orwell was primarily a journalist, of course. This is the COA. I wasn't lucky enough to get number 1984, but I did get number 2302 out of 4,500. Overall, I like this coin very much, but for now I'm going to put it back in its little box. I wonder what Orwell himself would say if he could see the coin designed as a tribute to his work. he was quite a complex character, so it's difficult to know what his thoughts would be on anything that he didn't specifically write about. Of course, as a socialist who did mention wealth and its inequalities in some of his essays, and in 1984, he might have had something to say about a coin being made in his honour. But I think even more than that, he might have had something to say about the coin being based on 1984. Orwell was already sick when he wrote 1984, and he was kind of self-critical of it. In a letter to Julian Simmons, the editor and literary critic, a few months before the book was published, he wrote, "My new book is a utopia in the form of a novel. I ballsed it up rather, partly owing to being so ill while I was writing it, but I think some of the ideas in it might interest you." I think if he could tell us now, his memory of writing the book would mainly be about how ill he was, and I think he would also want us to remember him for his other works. But people so closely associate Orwell with 1984 that I think it is a fairly natural choice, and although it is quite cliched to say so, it does stand as a powerful warning against authoritarian governments wielding too much power even today. Orwell died in January 1950, aged only 46, which means that it is now 75 years since his death, and his work is now in the public domain in the UK. And actually in some parts of the world it has been in the public domain for some time. So the full text of most of his work can now be found legally online in many places. Orwell is still an important writer, so hopefully this coin will also inspire a few people to read a bit more deeply some of his other works as well. Okay, now on to the second parcel. At the same time I ordered the Orwell coin, I ordered some silver bullion coins. I don't usually buy bullion directly from the Royal Mint, but just at that time they had an offer for best value coins, randomly selected, at a fairly reasonable price. I ordered 5, and that is what is in this second parcel. So this is a fairly modest silver unboxing, but I don't know what coins they are. As I said, they are selected randomly, so let's scalpel into the parcel and have a look. Interesting, the coins are in these little white packs, although it sounds like the coins are loose inside the packages. I'm going to take them all out and have a look. The packaging does seem to be a little bit over the top for single loose coins just in capsules. Okay, so it's a little bit disappointing. 4 of the coins are the same. They are from the James Bond series. Specifically, this one is the Bond of the 1960s coin. They are all 1 ounce silver bullion coins. They have the portrait of King Charles on the obverse and a face value of £2. The outer rim of the coin is the gun barrel that is always in the titles of the films, and the main design is the autogyro from You Only Live Twice. The film shares its name with the Ian Fleming book, but the screenplay was actually written by Roald Dahl, who was a friend of Ian Fleming, although the final film is almost entirely different from the original book. You can also see the names of all of the 1960s Bond films in the background of the coin as a security device. These are the only coins I have from this series, so they are at least new to me. The 5th coin is different. It is the Morgan Le Fay coin from the Myths and Legends series. Again, King Charles on the obverse, it is a 1 ounce silver bullion coin. On the reverse, it shows Morgan about to cast a spell. It is a very beautiful design. I especially like the detail in her headdress and the dynamic pose with her hair kind of whipping around. I don't actually have any coins from either of these series in my stack or my collection at the moment, so although I would maybe have preferred a slightly wider selection, these are new to me. And after all, these are bullion coins which I bought for their silver rather than their numismatic value, so overall I'm okay with it. Anyway, that's my unboxing for today, my George Orwell coin and my tiny stack of bullion coins. And that's all I've got to say, so I will see you around.